What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some of the upcoming indie games I am particularly excited for and have been keeping an eye on, and I decided to make this video today for no particular reason, absolutely nothing going on in the industry worth discussing, so why not shine a light on some smaller projects. Now, probably worth a mention before we dive fully into this, as usual, these particular games I'm about to cover are in various states of approach. Some of them are a little farther off, some of them are probably a little closer than you may think, and I'll try to go over exactly when to expect some of these as we go, though some of them that is a little unknown at the moment, I fully admit. However, with that said, let's go ahead and dive fully into these, starting with an upcoming one I'm actually very excited about, which is Entropy. Entropy is being developed by Lovely Hell Place, which is an interesting name for a studio, yes, but more importantly, this is the dev behind Dread Delusion, a game that I liked a lot, and that is initially what drew me to Entropy after people were letting me know about it, as it initially flew under my radar entirely. However, it has a demo available that was made available during Steam Next Fest, but is still up if you want to check it out for yourself, and you may want to because Entropy is, I would say, a throwback to older JRPGs with a few interesting mechanics and obviously a very specific graphical touch, and I was pretty impressed with the demo, more so than I thought I would be. And if you happen to try it out and enjoy what you see, this game is actually hitting early access on August 18th. A little over a month left to go to play more of this one, but with it being an early access release, it may well be a little while before we see the full thing. Either way though, I enjoy previous stuff from this studio, this game looks cool, so it's a pretty easy win for me. Next up, I want to get a little bit of a strange one out of the way, because I fully admit it's not my usual type of game, but it is another one that I enjoyed the demo of, and this is There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, which is a game that is blending a lot of genres together, to be honest with you. There's like a musical aspect to it, which is the part that's really not my thing. There's like a building aspect where you're going to be fixing up this hotel, the Grand. But there's also an investigation element to it where, as the name would imply, there are actually ghosts at the Grand. There's a whole lot of very strange stuff happening around town, actually. And again, I probably wouldn't recommend this one if I had not played the demo for it, just purely based on how it sounds. But having played the demo, I enjoyed what I saw, and I'm excited to see what the full product winds up looking at. And this one is actually supposed to be due out in Q4 of this year, and we'll see if we get a more solid release date, probably around Gamescom, I would imagine. Third up, a relatively recent announcement with Vampire the Masquerade Eternal Whispers from the team that actually made a board game called Vampire the Masquerade Chapters, I believe, which is of note here because Eternal Whispers is going to be in much the same setting, that being Montreal. And while I'm excited for pretty much any CRPG, a Vampire the Masquerade CRPG is definitely of note. This one in particular is narrative in focus, which means something like Disco Elysium, though given the IP, that's not a big surprise. Vampire the Masquerade is really much more about the storytelling than like a lot of the mechanical aspects that you might be used to in other TTRPGs. As an example, however, I still think this looks great. Honestly, just getting the chance to play as a Sabbat character, which is unique to this game, is going to be interesting, as that is not usually something you get to play as in much of the video games. And I think if they can manage to tell an interesting story here, there is a lot of potential for a cool experience. Unfortunately, no real word on when we're going to see this release. It seems like it might be still early days, so I don't think the end of 2027 would be an unreasonable assumption at this point. Still a few left to go, however, because then I want to talk about Ardenfall. Ardenfall is another game I have managed to take a look at via a demo that is also available. This is another early access title, however, that is supposed to be launching into early access sometime in 2026, but the thing you would probably want to know most is that this game clearly takes a healthy dose of inspiration from stuff like, say, Morrowind as an example. However, it's doing some fun stuff on its own. Namely, it's the type of game where you're going to be able to kill basically everybody and the world will react. There's going to be all sorts of situations that will have multiple outcomes based on your choices. You can do things like create your character, focus on crafting, the usual sort of gameplay loop that something inspired by Morrowind or that genre of games more generally would imply. And I'm really curious to see if Spellcast Studios, the people behind it, can manage to land this one. They are expecting to be in early access for about 1 to 2 years once this game drops, but I fully plan to keep taking a look at it in the meantime. But as we get close to the end here, I wanted to follow that up with another game that is releasing relatively soon, and this is Forsaken Realms Vahrin's Call. In a not entirely dissimilar fashion, this time around we have a third-person action RPG, which is going to see us traveling around the world and city of Vahrin, where we will be tackling all sorts of things from your typical assortment of mercenaries, bandits, strange and dangerous beasts, etc. In the case of this game, however, you won't really have to wait too much longer to hear much about it, and that is because it is actually releasing on July 27th, about 20 days from the time this particular video launches. So of all of these, this is one you could theoretically have your hands on the soonest, and I suppose we will all see how it pans out together. With this being, I would say, a relatively ambitious title from a smaller studio, I would expect bugs, to be very frank with you. But there's potential there, and I admit I am very interested in seeing it. But that does bring us to our final entry that I wanted to talk about today, which is none other than UnderRail Infusion, another CRPG, and in particular, a sequel, more or less, to UnderRail. UnderRail, as a heads up, was a very particular type of RPG. Even in the CRPG space. It is a bit difficult. I will say it's sort of conversation online will imply it's a little more difficult than it actually is. It is not as unapproachable as some people can make it out to be, but it is challenging, to be sure. It is also very good if you are willing to get past a bit of that challenge. And UnderRail Infusion is aiming to take that original game and, of course, make it better as much as they possibly can. Now, this is being developed by Stygian Software, which is a very small development team, so this is another situation where I fully don't expect to hear a lot of news for a significant period of time, but they are producing regular updates, showing off improvements, etc. from the original, and so while I fully expect this to be more of a long-haul situation, they supported UnderRail a great deal, and there's a lot of potential here for another great CRPG, and as a channel who loves to cover CRPGs, you better believe that has me excited. But that is pretty much the games I wanted to talk about today. I certainly hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know how you feel about all of these down in the comment section below, which naturally means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.